Have you ever wondered why anger takes control of you so fast, even when you don't want it to? One small word, one careless action from someone, and suddenly your whole body changes. Your heart beats faster, your jaw tightens, your mind fills with thoughts you can't stop replaying. In that moment, you don't feel like yourself. You feel like someone else has taken the steering wheel of your life. And when it's over, when the anger fades, you're left with regret, exhaustion, and the quiet wish that you could have handled it differently. The truth is, anger isn't just an emotion. It's a signal. It's your mind telling you there's something you feel you can't control. Every flash of anger is your brain trying to protect you from a perceived threat. But here's the problem. Most of the threats you react to aren't real dangers. They're words, opinions, misunderstandings. Your brain reacts as if it's life or death, but in reality, it's just life. And when you see that clearly, anger starts to lose its grip on you. Think about this. In every moment of anger, you're handing your power to someone else. You're letting their words or actions decide how you feel, how you think, and what you do. That means you're no longer in charge of your own state of mind. But you can take that power back. You can learn to stop letting people press your buttons, because the truth is, those buttons only work if you let them. Here's something most people never realize. The people who make you angry are not controlling you. They're just revealing the parts of you that still need to heal. Anger is a mirror. It shows you where you feel insecure, where you feel unheard, or where you feel unvalued. Instead of seeing it as a weapon someone else uses against you, start seeing it as a teacher. Every moment you feel anger rising, you're being given a choice: react and lose control, or breathe and grow stronger. You have more control than you think. Your breath is a switch. When you slow it down, your body signals to your brain that you are safe. And when your brain feels safe, anger dissolves. It's not about suppressing it. It's about transforming it. You don't have to fight the fire. You just have to remove the fuel. Imagine how different your life would feel if no one could drag you into their chaos. Imagine never wasting another day replaying arguments in your head. Imagine being able to face criticism without your chest tightening. That's the freedom waiting for you when you master your response. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will not only free you from anger, it will give you back the peace you've been searching for. Once you understand the real reason anger shows up, once you see how it tricks you into surrendering your happiness, you'll never see it the same way again. And when that happens, you'll realize you've had the power to stay calm, strong, and unshakable all along. Anger only survives when you feed it. Every thought you replay, every insult you nurse, every scenario you imagine adds another drop of fuel to the fire. But here's what most people never stop to consider. The fire doesn't burn the person who lit it. It burns you. Your body pays the price. Your mind carries the weight. Your energy drains away into something that gives you nothing in return. And if you truly saw how much it costs you, you would stop giving it even a second of your time. The human mind is designed to protect you from harm, but it's also wired to overreact. It mistakes inconvenience for danger, disrespect for attack, disagreement for rejection. Anger is the primitive brain trying to win a battle that doesn't need to be fought. That's why the most powerful move you can make is to refuse to step into the battlefield at all. When you decide that no one else's actions are worth losing your inner stability, you step into a level of freedom most people will never taste. You can feel this shift happen in real time. The next time someone says something meant to provoke you, notice the spark before it becomes a flame. In that tiny gap between trigger and reaction, you hold all your power. This is where you decide who you are. Are you someone who lets the noise of others dictate your peace? Or are you someone who decides that no amount of provocation is worth handing over your calm? That choice is yours every single time. Some people believe that letting go of anger means letting others get away with disrespect. But that's not true. You can still set boundaries. You can still stand firm. You can still walk away from what is wrong for you. The difference is you do it without carrying poison in your veins. You speak with clarity instead of shouting in rage. You take action with intention instead of reacting with impulse. This is not weakness. This is mastery. Every second you remain calm when others expect you to explode, you reclaim ownership over your mind. You show yourself that you are not a prisoner of old habits, of hot tempers, of automatic reactions. You are training your brain to see through the illusion that anger is strength, Real strength is refusing to be moved by someone else's storm. Real strength is staying rooted while the winds try to tear you apart. When you live this way, something incredible happens. People lose the ability to control you through emotion. Their attempts to manipulate you, provoke you, or pull you into conflict simply don't work anymore. You become untouchable, not because the world changes, but because you change. And once you've tasted that kind of peace, you'll protect it at all costs. That's the reward for mastering anger. Not a moment of satisfaction from shouting louder, not a hollow victory from winning an argument, but lasting control over your own state of being. The kind of control that makes every day lighter, every relationship calmer, and every challenge easier to face. It's the control that no one can give you and no one can take away. And once you claim it, you'll never want to live without it. The reason anger feels so powerful is because it gives you a rush. Your body floods with adrenaline, your mind sharpens on one single point. In that moment, it feels like strength, like certainty, like you're standing up for yourself. But that rush is a trick. It's the same chemical storm that clouds your judgment, blinds your perspective, and pushes you into choices you later wish you could take back. What feels like control in the moment is actually you losing it. When you see through that illusion, you start to understand that real power is quiet. Real power doesn't need to raise its voice. It doesn't need to explode. It doesn't need to prove anything. Real power is the ability to stay composed when everything around you is designed to pull you apart. It's the steady voice in your mind that says, "This is not worth my peace," and then walks away without a second thought. This kind of power changes the way you see the world. Every insult stops being an attack and starts being a reflection of the other person's pain. Every provocation becomes an opportunity to practice strength. You stop being a puppet on the strings of other people's behavior. You become the one holding the strings. And in that shift, life feels lighter, clearer, more under your control than you ever thought possible. It's not about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about becoming unshakable. You can still feel anger without letting it decide your next move. You can still be passionate, still stand for what matters without letting rage run through you like a wildfire. This is how you preserve your energy for what actually deserves it. Because every time you give anger your focus, you take it away from something more important: your growth, your goals, your peace. Anger tries to convince you that reacting is the only way to defend yourself. But silence can be stronger than shouting. Walking away can be more powerful than winning an argument. Choosing peace can be the loudest statement you ever make, and the people who once expected you to be easy to provoke will be left powerless when they realize they can't reach you anymore. Your mind will resist at first. It's been conditioned for years to react, to defend, to fight. But every time you choose calm over chaos, you rewire it. You teach your brain that safety doesn't come from dominating a conflict. It comes from not needing the conflict at all. Over time, this becomes your new default, not because you're forcing it, but because you've experienced the freedom it gives you, and you know nothing else compares. When you reach this point, anger stops being your master. It becomes a messenger, a quick signal that something needs attention, not destruction. You acknowledge it, you understand it, and then you let it pass. That's when you realize you are no longer chained to the emotional reactions that once controlled you. You are free. And once you've lived in that freedom, you'll never go back to the prison of letting anger run your life. Anger cannot survive without your participation. It depends on you to hold on to it, to replay the moment, to keep the wound open long after the event is over. The more you think about it, the deeper it digs in. But the moment you refuse to engage, it begins to dissolve. The mind cannot obsess over what it refuses to feed. This is where your freedom begins. Not in controlling the world, but in controlling the space inside you that decides what is worth your attention. Every second you spend in anger is a second you lose from your life, not just in time, but in quality. Anger drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and narrows your vision until all you can see is the problem. But life is bigger than the problem. Your future is bigger than the moment. The challenge is remembering that when the heat rises inside you. The challenge is to step back far enough to see the bigger picture. When you do, Anger shrinks into something small, something powerless. You are not the same as your emotions. You experience them, but they are not your identity. You are the observer, the one who can decide whether to let them pass or let them control you. This separation is your strength. The moment you stop saying I am angry and start saying I feel anger, you create distance. You take a step back into your own power. You remember that emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent residents. The people who remain calm in the middle of chaos are not lucky, they are trained. They've learned to let thoughts pass without grabbing them. They've learned to let emotions rise without acting on them. And you can learn the same. It is a skill, and like any skill, it grows stronger every time you practice. Every time you choose not to react, you are building the muscle of self-control. Every time you stay silent when you want to explode, you are teaching your mind that peace is more valuable than being right. It's not about never feeling anger again. It's about not letting anger dictate who you become in the moment. You can feel it, acknowledge it, and still decide that your peace matters more. This decision is not weakness. It is the highest form of power you can have over yourself. Because when you control yourself, nothing and no one else can. Life will always bring people who test your patience, situations that frustrate you, and moments that challenge your limits. That will never change. What can change is your relationship to them. You can stop letting them dictate how your day feels. You can stop letting them pull you into battles that are not worth fighting. You can stand in the middle of it all calm, grounded, and unshaken. And when you do, you'll notice something extraordinary. The more you choose peace, the less anger even shows up. It simply stops finding a home in you. It knocks, but you don't answer. It fades, and you remain. You remain in control, in clarity, in freedom. And that is a victory no argument could ever give you. The moment you decide that your peace is worth more than your pride, everything begins to change. Pride will try to convince you that you must respond, that you must defend, that you must prove your point. It will whisper that walking away makes you look weak, that staying silent means they've won. But this is a trap. Pride is rooted in the need for validation from others. And the moment you let it lead, you hand your emotional control over to the very people you wish to rise above. You do not need the world's approval to know your worth. You do not need to win an argument to protect your value. The only thing you truly need is mastery over yourself, because that is where your real strength is built. When you stop trying to control how others see you and focus on controlling how you respond, you step into a kind of power that cannot be taken from you. Every provocation becomes a choice. Every insult becomes a test of your own discipline. The question is no longer how do I make them see my point, but how do I keep my peace in this moment? That is the only question that matters, because your peace is the foundation of your clarity, and your clarity is the foundation of every good decision you will ever make. When anger takes over, it blinds you. It narrows your vision until you cannot see beyond the moment. It makes you forget who you are and what you truly want. But when you keep your peace, you see everything. The situation, the patterns, the truth behind someone's words. You see the pain they're projecting, the fear they're hiding, the weakness they're covering up. And when you see clearly, you no longer take their behavior personally, you simply understand it. Understanding dissolves anger. You stop needing to fight what you understand. You stop needing to react to what you see through. Instead, you rise above it. You keep your energy for the things that matter, for the life you're building, for the goals you're chasing. You stop wasting it on battles that leave you empty. This is not about letting people cross your boundaries. It's about enforcing your boundaries from a place of strength, not from a place of chaos. Calm enforcement is far more powerful than explosive retaliation. When you speak from peace, your words carry weight. When you act from control, your actions leave an impact. People listen differently when they feel the quiet authority behind your presence. Over time, this becomes your identity. You are no longer the person who can be dragged into every argument. You are no longer the person who burns out in emotional fires that others start. You are steady. You are grounded. You are untouchable. And this identity is worth protecting with everything you have, because it will shape not only how others treat you, but how you treat yourself. When you reach this level, you realize that no one can truly make you angry without your permission. And the moment you stop granting that permission, you stop being controlled. You stop being reactive. You start living on your own terms, in your own strength, in a peace so deep that nothing outside of you can touch it. The truth is, no one can steal your peace unless you hand it to them. Most people give it away without even realizing it. They hear a comment, feel a wave of emotion, and before they know it, they've surrendered their entire state of mind to someone else's moment. This is why emotional discipline is not just a skill, it's a shield. It protects you from being pulled into battles you never chose to fight. Your emotions are powerful, but they are meant to serve you, not control you. When you allow anger to take the lead, you become a follower of your own impulses. You move where it pushes you. You say what it tells you. You act in ways you later regret. But when you take the lead, when you choose to observe the feeling without becoming the feeling, you flip the power dynamic. Anger no longer drives you. It informs you. It becomes data, not a decision maker. The power to remain calm is not found in avoiding conflict, but in mastering your inner reaction to it. People may still speak carelessly, they may still act unfairly, they may still test your patience. But instead of being dragged under, you remain above. You see their actions as theirs, not yours to own. You stop letting their storms dictate your weather. This is how real confidence is built. Not by forcing the world to treat you a certain way, but by knowing you can handle whatever the world gives you. Confidence comes from self-trust, and self-trust comes from proving to yourself over and over that you can hold your ground without losing yourself in the process. Each time you choose peace over reaction, you strengthen that trust. Each time you walk away without carrying bitterness, you prove that your happiness belongs to you alone. Some will mistake your calm for indifference. They will assume you don't care, when in reality, you care enough to protect your energy for what matters most. You care enough to choose your future over a fleeting emotion. You care enough about your growth to stop feeding the habits that keep you small. The most liberating truth you will ever accept is that not every action requires a reaction. You don't have to answer every challenge. You don't have to correct every lie. You don't have to win every disagreement. Sometimes the greatest victory is to remain unmoved, to rise above without needing the last word, because the last word is meaningless if you lose yourself in the process of getting it. Every moment you protect your peace, you're building a life that feels lighter, clearer, and more intentional. You're training your mind to choose clarity over chaos, patience over impulse, and wisdom over pride. Over time, this becomes second nature. You stop chasing emotional control. It becomes who you are. And when that transformation happens, you'll look back and realize something profound. The world hasn't gotten easier. People haven't stopped being difficult. Life hasn't stopped being unpredictable. But you've changed, and because you've changed, nothing has the same power over you that it once did. You are no longer reactive. You are no longer at the mercy of what happens around you. You are free, and that freedom is the kind that no one can ever take away. Anger thrives on attachment. The more tightly you hold on to how you think things should be, the more power you give it when reality doesn't match your expectations. Every demand you place on the world becomes a potential source of frustration when it isn't met. The moment you accept that you cannot control people, situations, or outcomes, you strip anger of its strongest weapon. Acceptance is not surrender. It's the refusal to fight battles that were never yours to win. When you stop expecting the world to move according to your plan, you stop being blindsided by disappointment. You start meeting each moment as it is, not as you wish it to be. That shift takes you from resistance to readiness. Instead of clinging to how things should go, you adapt to how they are going. And adaptation is far more powerful than anger because it moves you forward, while anger keeps you stuck in a moment that's already gone. This is where peace becomes a choice, not a reward. You don't wait for life to be fair to feel calm. You don't wait for everyone to agree with you to feel secure. You don't wait for perfect conditions to let go of tension. You choose peace first, and that choice becomes the anchor that keeps you steady no matter what the tide brings in. The mind will always offer you reasons to be angry. It will replay words. It will remind you of past wrongs. It will search for proof that you were right and they were wrong. But you have the authority to interrupt that cycle. You can stop feeding the story and let the moment dissolve. Every time you do, you reclaim the time, the energy, and the focus that anger was trying to steal from you. Letting go is not about weakness. It's about strength so deep it doesn't need validation. It's the kind of strength that refuses to waste itself on battles that add no value to your life. It's the decision to walk away from what doesn't serve you, not because you can't fight it, but because you know it's not worth fighting. That's not avoidance, that's mastery. The more you practice this, the more you realize that peace isn't fragile. It doesn't break under pressure. It grows stronger with every test you face. Each moment of provocation becomes another opportunity to solidify your foundation. The storms may rage, but you stand like a mountain, unshaken, grounded, and certain of your own stability. And something else happens when you live this way. You inspire others without even trying. People notice the way you carry yourself. They see how you refuse to be pulled into the chaos. They feel the difference in your presence. And often, without words, you become a mirror for them. They start to see that there's another way to live. They start to believe they can have that same peace. When you realize this, you understand that mastering your anger isn't just for you. It's for everyone you interact with. It's for the energy you bring into every room. It's for the example you set for anyone who has ever felt controlled by their emotions. And that kind of influence, quiet, steady, and unshakable, can change far more than an argument ever could. Peace is built in the moments you think no one is watching. It's built in the pauses you take before speaking, in the breath you choose over the reaction, in the way you decide to let something pass instead of letting it live in your mind. These small moments are where transformation happens. Not in grand gestures, not in rare events, but in the quiet, repeated choices that slowly rewire your entire way of being. Every time you choose stillness over escalation, you are teaching yourself that you do not need to match another person's energy. You can rise above it. You can meet hostility with clarity. You can stand in the middle of chaos without letting it dictate your next move. That's when you realize you are no longer playing the game anger wants you to play. You've stepped outside of it. And from that position, you cannot be defeated. The greatest trap anger sets is convincing you that you have to act immediately. It makes you believe that if you don't respond now, you've lost. But urgency is the enemy of wisdom. When you give yourself space, when you let the initial heat fade, you see the situation for what it truly is. And more often than not, you realize it wasn't worth the energy you were about to give it. Your mind is a battlefield only if you allow every passing thought to become a fight. You can observe the thought without becoming the thought. You can feel the spark without letting it ignite. This is where self-mastery lives, in the gap between stimulus and response. The longer you can stay in that gap, the greater your control over yourself becomes. Calm is not a lack of emotion. Calm is the ability to feel deeply without being carried away. It's the power to choose your direction when everything around you is pulling in the opposite one. This is why people who master their emotions are not easily manipulated. They are not pushed into actions they don't want to take. They are not baited into wars they never agreed to fight. They know their path, and they walk it with intention. The more you value your peace, the more ruthless you become about protecting it. You stop entertaining conversations that drain you. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop giving your energy to battles that have no reward. And in doing so, you create space for the things that actually matter: growth, love, purpose, and fulfillment. When you commit to this, life feels different. The same situations that once shook you lose their power. The same words that once cut deep barely scratch the surface. Not because the world has softened, but because you have strengthened. And this strength is not loud or aggressive. It's quiet. It's steady. It's undeniable. In time, you come to understand that no one can take this from you. Not the loudest voice in the room, not the most unfair situation, not even the most personal attack. Your peace is yours. And when you fully own it, you carry a power so rare and so unshakable that the noise of the world becomes exactly what it should be. Just noise. When you stop giving power to what disturbs you, you discover how much of your life you've been spending on things that never truly mattered. All those hours lost to overthinking, all the energy burned on proving yourself, all the sleepless nights replaying words that can never be taken back. You see it for what it is, a distraction from the life you could be living. And once you see that clearly, you refuse to keep paying that cost. Anger feeds on attention. The more you focus on it, the stronger it grows. The moment you shift that focus toward what builds you, it starts to starve. It doesn't vanish instantly, but it weakens. It loses its urgency. It stops feeling like something you have to obey. And in that space, you feel something greater rising in its place. The ability to choose where your mind lives. Your mind is your most valuable territory, and not everyone should be allowed to enter it. When you let someone provoke you, you open the gates and let them walk right in. But when you choose to protect your inner space, you decide who gets your attention, who gets your energy, and who gets nothing at all. This is not selfishness. This is self-respect. Self-respect changes the way you react. You stop chasing closure from people who will never give it. You stop seeking understanding from those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop allowing temporary emotions to destroy permanent relationships or derail your own progress. You stop letting pride turn small problems into lifelong grudges. You start valuing your own peace above the satisfaction of being right. There is a calm that comes when you no longer feel the need to respond to everything. It's the calm of knowing that silence is not weakness, that walking away is not defeat, that letting go is not giving up. It's choosing to put your energy into what creates a better version of you, not what drags you into the same cycle you've been trying to escape. This shift doesn't just change how you feel, it changes who you are. You start to carry yourself differently. You speak with more weight because you only speak when it matters. You act with more purpose because you no longer act out of impulse. You think more clearly because your mind is no longer clouded by constant battles. You stop surviving moments of conflict and start mastering them. And when you master them, you realize that you don't need to fight to win. The real victory is not letting someone's words live in your head rent-free. The real victory is walking away with your energy intact. The real victory is ending the day in peace, knowing you didn't let the chaos of others dictate your state of mind. When you live like this, anger no longer feels like a natural response. It feels foreign, out of place, incompatible with the life you're building. And when it does show up, you see it for what it is, a test you've already learned how to pass. You acknowledge it, let it pass through, and move forward untouched. That is the kind of control that no one can take from you. That is the kind of freedom worth protecting every single day. The deepest power you will ever hold is the power to govern your own state of mind. Most people give that power away without even realizing it. They hand it to strangers on the internet, to coworkers, to family members, to anyone who says something that touches a nerve. They live in constant reaction, their emotions dictated by forces outside themselves. But the moment you decide that no one else gets to control how you feel, you reclaim the throne within your own mind. This decision changes everything. You stop measuring your worth through someone else's opinion. You stop letting temporary words create permanent wounds. You stop being a slave to the rise and fall of emotions triggered by the outside world. You become the steady force in your own life, unshaken by what happens around you. And when you live from that place, your confidence is no longer fragile. It's unbreakable. Anger will try to disguise itself as strength, as the necessary fuel to protect yourself. But real protection comes from clarity, not from rage. Clarity allows you to see a situation for what it truly is instead of through the distorted lens of emotion. Clarity gives you the patience to wait, the wisdom to choose, and the ability to act in ways that move you forward instead of keeping you trapped in cycles of conflict. Every moment you remain calm in the face of provocation, you train your nervous system to respond differently. You rewire the connection between your triggers and your reactions. You break the old loop that once controlled you, and each time you succeed, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you once believed. This proof builds a foundation of self-trust so solid that nothing outside of you can shake it. When you operate from this foundation, you begin to see patterns that others can't. You notice that people who provoke are often carrying their own unhealed pain. You see that their outbursts are less about you and more about the battles they're fighting within. This understanding doesn't excuse their behavior, but it frees you from taking it personally. You stop absorbing their chaos. You let it pass by without letting it in. This is not detachment in the cold sense. It's engagement with life on your terms. You are present, aware, and intentional. You respond when it's needed, and you stay silent when it's not. You act from strength instead of reaction. And because of that, your influence grows. People notice your composure. They notice that they can rattle you. They notice that your presence feels like stability in a world that's always shaking. The more you embody this, the more you realize that emotional control isn't about perfection. It's about direction. You will still feel anger. You will still feel the rush of adrenaline when something strikes a nerve. But instead of being swept away by it, you will guide it. You will turn that energy into something constructive, something that serves you instead of sabotages you. And when you live this way, anger stops being your enemy. It becomes a momentary signal that reminds you who's in control. You, and with every test you pass, your control grows. Your peace deepens. Your strength becomes unshakable. You stop just surviving the storms of life and you start walking through them untouched. There comes a point where you no longer measure your strength by how loudly you can speak or how fiercely you can defend yourself, but by how little outside noise can pull you off balance. This is the point where you stop being a reactor and start being a creator. You stop letting the actions of others dictate the quality of your day, and you start shaping your own emotional climate from within. That shift is the true mark of mastery. Not the absence of challenges, but the refusal to be ruled by them. Every confrontation, every disagreement, every frustrating moment becomes a test of alignment. Do you let the moment define you, or do you define the moment? Do you give your power to the person trying to provoke you, or do you stand so rooted in yourself that their chaos breaks against you like waves against rock? These are the questions that separate those who live in constant reaction from those who live in constant control. The temptation to respond in anger is always there because it offers something instant. A surge of energy, the illusion of dominance, the short-term satisfaction of winning the moment. But what you gain in that instant, you lose in the long run. You lose clarity, you lose self-respect, you lose the quiet strength that comes from knowing you are bigger than the moment trying to consume you. When you choose restraint, you are not backing down. You are rising above. Restraint is not weakness. It is strength under command. Anyone can explode. Few can remain still. Anyone can speak without thinking. Few can pause long enough to let wisdom lead. Restraint is proof that you are in charge of yourself, that no emotion, no person, and no situation can force you into a state you do not choose. This doesn't mean you suppress what you feel. It means you channel it. You take that fire and use it to fuel something worthwhile, a better decision, a clearer conversation, a stronger boundary. You transform the energy instead of letting it burn everything in its path. And every time you do this, you reinforce the truth that you are not at the mercy of emotion. Emotion is at the mercy of you. You'll notice that the more you live this way, the less you even encounter the kind of conflicts that once consumed you. Not because the world has suddenly become kinder, but because you stop attracting or engaging with the energy that feeds those conflicts. People who thrive on drama will find no entry point into your life. Situations designed to pull you down will have nothing to hold on to. You become untouchable, not by force, but by the strength of your inner state. This is the point where peace stops being something you chase and becomes something you carry. It goes with you into every conversation, every challenge, every environment. It becomes part of your identity. And when you carry peace like that, it doesn't just protect you, it transforms you. You are no longer a product of the chaos around you. You are the calm within it. And that calm is what makes you truly powerful. The moment you stop needing to prove yourself to anyone, you step into a freedom most people will never taste. You stop living as a reflection of other people's opinions and start living as an expression of your own truth. This is where confidence is no longer a mask you wear when you feel insecure, but the natural state that flows from knowing who you are and what you stand for. No validation, no applause, no agreement is necessary for you to move forward with certainty. When your worth is self-sourced, nothing external can truly shake it. Criticism doesn't crush you, and praise doesn't control you. You listen, you evaluate, you take what's useful, but you no longer bend yourself into shapes to fit expectations that were never yours to begin with. You've outgrown the need for approval because you understand the cost of chasing it. Every time you contort yourself to win acceptance, you abandon a piece of yourself. Over time, those pieces add up until you look in the mirror, no longer recognize the person staring back. The world will try to tell you who to be. It will reward you when you comply and resist you when you don't. But the deeper you anchor into your own identity, the less any of that matters. You no longer move according to the currents of opinion. You move according to the compass inside you. And when you live that way, your presence changes. People can feel it before you speak. They sense that you are not here to impress, but to express. Not here to compete for space, but to take up the space that is already yours. There's a quiet kind of strength in this way of living. It doesn't demand attention, yet it commands it. It doesn't seek permission, yet it moves with undeniable authority. And it comes from one truth. You have chosen yourself. You have stopped waiting for someone else to see your value before you see it. You have stopped begging for opportunities that you are capable of creating. You have stopped lowering your voice just to make someone else comfortable. When you choose yourself fully, you stop settling. You stop engaging in relationships, jobs, or environments that require you to shrink. You stop pretending you don't have needs or boundaries just to keep the peace. You stop apologizing for taking up space, for having ambition, for wanting more. The guilt that once kept you small dissolves, replaced by the clarity that your life is your responsibility. And the truth is, when you stand in that kind of self-respect, the world adjusts. People either rise to meet you or they fall away, and either outcome serves you. You stop fearing the loss of things that were never aligned with you in the first place. You realize that every ending that comes from choosing yourself is not a loss, but a clearing. A clearing that makes room for the life that matches your worth, not the one you settled for when you forgot it. This is the unshakable foundation. This is the place where no rejection can break you, no criticism can diminish you, and no approval can control you, because you've already decided who you are, and that decision is final. Once you decide that your worth is non-negotiable, you begin to understand the real meaning of power. Power is not control over others. It is mastery over yourself. It is the ability to stand firm when everything around you wavers. It is the strength to say no without guilt and yes without fear. It is the calm assurance that you are no longer moved by the noise of the world because your inner voice speaks louder than anything outside of you. True power is discipline. It's waking up every day and aligning your actions with your values, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching. It's breaking the cycle of excuses that keep you trapped in patterns of mediocrity. It's refusing to betray yourself for temporary comfort. You begin to live in alignment with the person you claim to be, and in doing so, you create a life that reflects that integrity. The gap between who you are and who you want to be closes because you are no longer waiting. You are choosing. This level of self-command brings a clarity that cuts through confusion. Decisions become easier because you know what serves your higher self and what doesn't. You no longer waste energy debating whether to hold on to what's breaking you or chasing what diminishes you. You let go swiftly, decisively, because you understand that what drains you cannot elevate you. And every time you release something misaligned, you rise. When you stop bargaining with your standards, your energy shifts. You no longer walk with hesitation, you move with certainty. You no longer ask whether you are capable, you prove it with action. Every choice, every discipline, every boundary reinforces the truth that you are not someone to be ignored, dismissed, or underestimated. You become undeniable, not because of what you demand from others, but because of the force you command within yourself. This is the kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself. It shows in the way you carry yourself, in the silence between your words and the consistency of your actions. It shows in the way you walk away from what insults your soul and step fully into what fuels it. It shows in the way you refuse to be distracted by things that no longer match the level you are growing into. And as you hold this strength, something remarkable happens. Life begins to meet you at the level of your conviction. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach now appear within your grasp. People who align with your truth are drawn to you. Doors open, not because you are chasing them down, but because you are walking with the kind of authority that cannot be ignored. The world bends for those who refuse to bend themselves out of shape just to belong. The greatest transformation happens not when you seek to control everything outside of you, but when you master what is within. And when that mastery takes root, there is no force strong enough to make you doubt your worth, no storm powerful enough to move you off your path, and no setback heavy enough to keep you from rising. This is the foundation of an unbreakable life. The moment you understand that nothing external defines you, you stop chasing validation like it's oxygen. You no longer live for the applause, the approval, or the recognition because you realize those things are temporary and fragile. What you build inside yourself cannot be taken from you. Self-respect becomes your anchor, and once it is rooted, no rejection, no loss, no betrayal can pull you under. You stop asking for permission to be great and start giving yourself the authority to step into your own potential without hesitation. You learn to separate your identity from your circumstances. You are not your failures, just as you are not your victories. You are not the opinions others hold about you, nor are you the roles you have been assigned by society. You are the sum of your choices, the weight of your discipline, the depth of your resilience. You are shaped by the moments you refused to quit when quitting was easy. And when you embrace this truth, the fear of starting over disappears because you know that everything that truly matters is already within you. This is when you stop settling for almost. Almost enough, almost right, almost happy. Those are traps designed to keep you quiet and contained. You are not here to live a life of just fine. You are here to create a life that is undeniable, one that reflects the highest vision you hold for yourself. That requires you to stop clinging to comfort zones that feel safe but keep you small. It requires you to confront the truth that staying where you are out of fear is a slow form of self-betrayal. The discomfort of growth will never destroy you, but the comfort of stagnation will. The moment you choose movement over stillness, courage over certainty, and purpose over convenience, your entire life begins to shift. The path may not always be clear, but the direction will be. Every step you take in alignment with your truth strengthens your foundation and expands your capacity. You begin to understand that progress is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to try again, the subtle shift in how you speak to yourself, the unshakable choice to keep going no matter how long it takes. You become immune to the distractions that once pulled you off course. Petty conflicts, shallow pursuits, and empty recognition lose their appeal because your focus is too valuable to waste. You no longer measure yourself against others because you are too busy measuring yourself against the person you were yesterday. That is the only competition worth winning, to be sharper, stronger, and truer than you were before. And in this place, life stops feeling like something you're chasing and starts feeling like something you're building. Each day becomes a deliberate act of creation. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are shaping it through your presence, your decisions, and your refusal to live beneath your potential. This is the shift that separates those who exist from those who truly live. You are no longer here to survive the days. You are here to own them. The discipline to rise above distraction is the discipline to rise above mediocrity. Every time you direct your focus toward what truly matters, you reclaim pieces of yourself that the world tries to scatter. You stop living on autopilot, letting the noise of other people's expectations dictate your every move. You stop negotiating your dreams for the comfort of conformity. You start walking in alignment with a standard that only you set, one that refuses to be lowered just to make others more comfortable. You realize that strength is not built in the grand moments, but in the countless invisible decisions you make when no one is watching. It's in choosing the work over the excuse, the truth over the easy lie, the uncomfortable growth over the familiar rut. This is where the power compounds. In the small victories you stack each day until they form a wall no doubt can climb. The world may try to test you, break you, or lure you back into old patterns, but when you have built that kind of inner structure, you cannot be moved. Every excuse, every delay, every hesitation is an invitation to remain the same. And you know that staying the same is nothing but a slow erosion of your potential. Growth will demand sacrifices you once thought were too much. It will require you to let go of people who drain your energy, habits that dilute your focus, and environments that suffocate your ambition. It will force you to stand alone at times, but solitude in alignment will always be more powerful than company and compromise. You begin to understand that your future is shaped not by what you occasionally do, but by what you consistently refuse to compromise on. Integrity with yourself becomes non-negotiable. You stop chasing motivation and start cultivating discipline, because motivation fades, but discipline carries you through the days when everything feels heavy. You stop waiting for the perfect moment and instead decide that this moment is enough to start, to move, to act. Your goals are no longer wishes you hope will come true. They are promises you have already decided to keep. And when you treat your word to yourself as unbreakable, you stop needing external accountability. You become your own standard bearer, your own source of momentum, your own proof that change is possible. The world responds differently to someone who moves with that kind of certainty. Doors open, not because you are lucky, but because you have positioned yourself where luck can find you. Opportunities emerge, not because you waited, but because you worked in silence until the results made noise. Respect follows, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through relentless consistency. This is the point where you stop asking life to be easier and start demanding that you be stronger. You stop running from challenges and start running toward them, knowing that every test is a chance to prove yourself to yourself. You no longer live for comfort. You live for growth, for impact, for the undeniable feeling of becoming more than you were yesterday. And once you taste that, there is no going back.